Bravo. Just in case anyone was in any doubt, that was Haydn. Great. I mean, this is the hardest thing in the world to do well, I think. Before I talk to them, I'm just going to tell you that I'm married with 3 children, and every so often, maybe twice a year, I would say, my wife says to me, "How can you be a cellist never having played in a string quartet?" And I stand there humbled and remorseful, because this is what it's all about, just this kind of it's the best music, and it's so difficult. And one of my children at the moment is at camp at Greenwood, 5-week music camp, playing chamber music, and he's having the time of his life. Last week he played Beethoven Opus 135. He's 15 years old, you know, and this week he's playing a Haydn Quartet. And he said to me, "This is the most boring week so far." Which made me sad. So these people all have to learn. You're old enough to know better, or at least to know better than to say that, even if you're thinking it. Essentially, I'm a fraud here because I really don't know anything about string quartets. I love playing them, I love listening to them, but as I said, I've never done it seriously. So if what you're after is any secrets about string quartet playing, then you've come to the wrong guy. However, I do have some ideas. I was absolutely transported by the Danish quartet and their sound. It seemed to me something so extraordinary in its beauty and its blend. How do you get that? I mean, how long have you been playing together? Some months, yeah. And mean, there's just so much work to do, isn't there? I mean, you've got to play in tune, you've got to play together, you've got to sort of decide on all sorts of interpretive issues. But at what point do you find that sound that is a quartet sound? I mean, I don't know the answer. And do you work on it? How do you work on it? I mean, the other day I was practicing in one of those rooms, and next door there was a quartet. They were warming up, and they were playing a scale together. I thought, oh, that's great. That's great. So quartets should play scales. But then I listened, and it was awful. They played ba da 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 da, and they thought that that was somehow something you were supposed to do to play like a quartet. This is something actually that I wanted to do with the younger ones, but I think it's worth doing, not so much because you don't know what I'm talking about, but just for anybody here who doesn't know what I'm talking about, and anybody here who plays scales. So, you know, you get up in the morning and you get to your instrument and you play. And what are you thinking about? You're thinking, well, I'm warming up, kind of. But I love scales, and all this music's it's very simple, actually. I mean, he goes off rhythmically, and he has his little jokes, and in a certain sense, it's not simple. But I'm getting sidetracked. What I want from a scale is that this is different from that. So actually, if you feel even right, so that, in fact, can one of you play that scale with me? I'm going to do something else. Nicole, play G major scale. Okay, so very, very slowly, yeah? Yeah, I'm not doing it well. I need to think about this for a second. Maybe I'll just play one note with you. Okay, once more. Yeah, you see. Okay, so you feel something, right? There's something incredibly wonderful about this. And, you know, when I'm playing bass lines like I was in the Divertimento last night, this is what I'm thinking about all the time. That every single note has its order. And it's a lifetime of work, actually, to figure this out. But it becomes more and more instinctive as you go along. But you've got to start doing it. So even the first 3 chords, when, you know, I wasn't thrilled. Just going back to the scale, I have a few love affairs in my life. And one of my love affairs in scales, in music, I should say, is the subdominant. This is what I keep going. They've heard me say this because we worked together at Stony Brook. So that's why when that beautiful scale that we did together was all about when we got to there was something very beautiful, right? And you felt it too. So Here, Michael, have your toy back. Anyway, we don't have time to sort of go into serious detail, but I want you to be just more microscopically aware of all this. And then the other thing that I want you to think about is how you're using vibrato, which of course is all related to this. But aside from whether you vibrate more beautifully and tenderly on a subdominant, in case you don't know, is the fourth degree of the scale. Just make sure you remember that. And by the way, in 90% of classical music, the slow movement is in the subdominant key, particularly if the piece is in major. What key is the slow movement of this in? It probably C major. There you go. So the piece is in G, slow movement in C. Why? Because I'm right. Because the slow movement's always the beautiful movement. So he writes it in the subdominant key because it has that halo of golden, beautiful sound around it. Anyway, going back to vibrato, it's not just how you vibrate on the subdominant, but what I want you to think about is vibrating less on your long notes and more on your little notes. All the way through. When you have long notes, you do lots. Eighth notes tend to get none. Now, you can't vibrate on every eighth note, but if you're playing diddle 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 dee, something like that, then yom 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 yom. Or if you're playing with harmony every bar, then that kind of thing. We just need vibrato harmonic awareness. And now we're going to get the first three chords right. That was much better than the first time. Hugely. Well, that was the Bruce Adolphe moment. He's, of course, when he said play it better, well, you weren't here probably, but he did this class and they played, and he said, okay, now play it better. And they played it better, and he looked like a genius. But actually, in this situation, when you play the second time, it's always better. So it's remarkable. I mean, actually, I don't need to be here. That was great. That was really great. All right, do it again. Go on. No, that wasn't so good, was it? Yeah. Actually, can you just play the first chord as you would, and don't play any more? And again. Yeah. What we're looking for, I mean, I think you do this well, actually, but I want everybody else to know, is some resonance that you fill the air. Of course, if you're playing in stent, you would have that automatically, maybe even too much. In here, it's a little bit secco, right? So do what you can to make it sound like stent. Just one chord. It's okay, no, but that was better. Yeah. Are you all starting from on the string, or yeah? Good. All right. Now go on. That's very good. Okay. Good. Now, I don't know how much you've listened to old quartets playing. Have you listened to much? I mean, what sort of guys have you listened to? The old guys? Where? Budapest. Yeah, right. Vague. Have you listened to Vague? Sándor Vég's quartet? No. So we're talking European here. Amadeus. Yeah. There's a real difference between the way those guys used to play and what we're becoming accustomed to hearing now, which is that now the emphasis is on articulation. How many of you kids have been told about articulation? Everybody, right? Absolutely everybody, yeah. Now, articulation is not a dirty word, but it's also not the be-all and end-all of life. And I must say, one of the things that I feel is a trend that has gone the wrong way in music is that everything has to be like this. And I want some softer edges. And when I play in groups, particularly in this country, I'm often told, Colin, your sound isn't focused enough. And I think, well, okay, I'll try to do better, but then do I want that kind of focus? And is that what Haydn is about? I mean, yes, it has to be very rhythmic, but do we really want that kind of thing? It feels to me a little bit too dug out. Can we? Yeah, just right. Ah, thank you. So beautiful. And I think that's what your quartet needs more than anything. And it's what the Danish guys had, because they come from the right part of the world. And it's so friendly. And if nothing else, this music is friendly. That was great. It was just perfect. I couldn't think of anything that I'd want from that differently. Do that again, and let's play a little more. If anyone has a 1 o'clock appointment, then feel free to keep it. But we might be here just a few more minutes. Good. Look, to me this is night and day, the difference from the first time through. I mean, it makes me smile. It makes me just love the music so much more. I think that's great. Now, can we just think about vibrato? You know, you see these notes, la da 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 da, and they're fast, and it goes around the group a little bit. And do we think, well, these notes are only this long, so if I don't vibrate on them, nobody's going to notice? I think something. You know, it's amazing the difference thinking vibrato makes. You don't even have to do it. You just, instead of da 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 da, you just ta da 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 da, and you feel it, you think it. There isn't time to do this on every note, of course, but just imagine. So, just before that, anywhere. Fortissimo or... Good. Yeah. At the school I went to, there was a piano teacher, and one of her favorite phrases was, You sound like Mickey Mouse on a typewriter. Most of you don't even know what a typewriter is, yeah, but you don't quite sound like that. But I want. Okay, you play twice. You go yada da 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 da, and then you go yada da 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 da. Right. So there has to be some difference. Probably the second one is going to have a little more intensity when you play your C sharp. So what little vibrato you managed to do in the first one, you're going to make a superhuman effort to do more the second one. Can you do either 50 or... 50 is probably good, right? Good. So what I liked very much was that the cadence there had a release and motion. Beautiful. That you'll feel that release much more if you had more tension before it. Because at the moment you're playing very in time, the dee bum 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 dun 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 dee da 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 da. So, but if there was a little sense of time stopping in those three groups of sforzandi, just play those right on. Good. Great. Loved it. Just a little bit. Yeah, just wow. Yeah. Two gestures. Subdivided. So, or rather, one and tom tom pom. Tom pom pom. So always be aware of your bass. In fact, play that without the bass, but just so I know you. Yes. Yeah, that's right. But probably releasing the second bar. Yeah, and then subito. Is there a forte on the D or not? There isn't. Yeah, this is IMSLP rubbish. Okay. I heard Chris Costanza the other day saying his love affair was with IMSLP, and I thought, really? They've put every publisher out of business, and they produce these scores which have absolutely no relation to what the composer wrote, except that they have the right notes. Yeah, sometimes the right notes, that's right. Yeah, okay. All right. But, all right, if not a forte, energy. So you have your pum. Do that together. Well, it was the last 5 bars. It's not great, but it's okay. Yeah, great. Look, I don't know if you want to go on, or whether you've all had enough. Oh, we'll sing each other later. Yeah. People probably want to eat. Okay, I'm going to grill them later on. Let's have lunch. It was fabulous. It's great. Fabulous.